Good morning, sir. Today, I will start our group presentation with an introduction to briefly explain Malaysia's economic performance between year 2000 to 2004, with a focus on the role of fiscal policy. Between year 2000 to 2004, Malaysia's economy was in a recovery and consolidation phase after the Asian financial crisis, which was in the year 1997 and the year 1998. In year 2000, the economy rebounded strongly, and the Malaysian government used the fiscal policy to stabilize and sustain the economic growth. Fiscal policy refers to how government use spending and taxes to influence the economy activities, promote sustainable growth, and reduce the poverty. There are two types of fiscal policy. The first one is the expansionary fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy is the policy involves increasing government spending or reducing the tax to stimulate the economy. Usually, it was used during the recession. While contractionary fiscal policy involves reducing spending or increasing taxes to control the inflation when the economy is overheating.
Next, I will explain the role of fiscal policy in shaping Malaysia's economic growth between 2000 and 2004. As we all know, Malaysia is an upper middle income and highly industrial country, and it is also highly dependent on global trade, with import and export exceeding 130% of gross domestic product. Because of this strong external dependence, Malaysia is particularly vulnerable to global economic shock. So that fiscal policies has been a crucial tool that not only a short-term stabilizer, but also a core long-term strategic development. First, the primary role of fiscal policy is to consolidate the economic recovery. This is because after Asian financial crisis, the country faced weak private investment and low business confidence. So that the government conduct fiscal policies by spending on infrastructure and social programs to prevent double-dip recessions. However, the global environment remains challenges. During this time, the fiscal policy act as buffer against external shock, especially the global slowdown in 2001 caused by dot-com bubble bust and September 11 terrorist attack. This is because Malaysia export growth fell sharply from 70.02% in 2000 to negative 10.61% in 2001. At the same time, fiscal policy also functions as a social stabilizer. This is because after crisis, unemployment increased. Therefore, fiscal policies has a significant role to maintain the stable social status by securing the public sector employment to guarantee the income stability of a huge number of families. Besides that, government also implemented subsidy to keep inflation low and maintain purchasing power in society. Beyond stabilization, fiscal policy were also used to stimulate long-term growth. Government spending on infrastructure and social programs improve productivity and economic capacity. A key example is the multimedia super corridor in between 2001 and 2004, which aimed to enhance Malaysia high-tech. Furthermore, tax incentives were introduced also to rebuild private sector confidence, encouraging investment and supporting structured transformations. In conclusion, fiscal policies play a vital role in stabilizing demand, securing employment, controlling inflation, and enhance competitiveness. Most importantly, is highlight that economic growth is driven by both the public and private sector working together. Thank you.
Next, we'll be moving on to policy tools under fiscal policy. Though there are two main policy tools under fiscal policy, which are government expenditure and taxation. There are two types of fiscal policy, which are expansionary fiscal policy and contractionary fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy happens when an economy is facing high unemployment or recession. The government will increase spending and or reduce taxes. The goal for expansionary fiscal policy is to boost economic growth, while contractionary fiscal policy happens when the economy is in high inflation or overheating. The government will reduce its spending and or increase taxes. The goal for contractionary fiscal policy is to decrease excessive spending and control price levels. Based on Figure 1.0, during 2000, the government implements expansionary fiscal policy to strengthen economic growth. The government maintained its fiscal policy, flexibility and sustainability through a strong commitment to fiscal prudence and discipline in its financial management. According to Bank Negara Malaysia, the total government expenditure for this year was 56,557 million ringgit, which an increase of 29.09% compared to 1999, which was 46,699 million ringgit. The stronger fiscal incentives was a key factor in supporting economic growth in the year 2000. For taxes, the government announced a reduction in cooperative and individual income tax from 5,000 ringgit to 8,000 ringgit. Also, the federal government announced tax relief for premium on annuity purchase from the Employees Provident Fund (EPF) annuity scheme. As a result, revenue from individual tax was higher due to stronger economic growth. Based on Figure 1, during 2001, the federal government accorded the flexibility to pursue expansionary fiscal policy to support economic growth during favorable periods and lower government debt. The total government, according to Bank Negara Malaysia, the total government expenditure for this year was 63,757 million ringgit, which an increase of 12.75% compared to 2000, which was 56,547 million ringgit. The government focused on projects that not only could be implemented quickly for maximum impact on domestic demand, but also meet the longer-term objective of increasing productivity to raise economic activity. These projects are related to infrastructure, industrial development, and education. For taxes, the federal government reduced employees' share of contribution to the EPF by 2 percentage points for 1 year, and the removal of tax on credit cards. Based on Figure 1.0, during 2002, the federal government remained its economy in expansionary fiscal policy to support the growth momentum due to amidst uncertainty in the global economy. According to Bank Negara Malaysia, the total government expenditure for this year was 68,699 million ringgit, which an increase by 7.75% compared to 2001, which was 63,757 million ringgit. The government increased its spending in allocations for education and infrastructure development during the course of the year. The government reduced personal income tax rates by 1 to 2 percentage points to 0 to 28%, while the chargeable income on the maximum tax scale was raised to exceed to 250,000 ringgit from 150,000 ringgit. This policy strengthened the indirect stimulus to the support private sectors. These measures are an initiative to encourage the private sector to increase its consumption and investment. Next, based on Figure 1.0, during 2003, the federal government implements expansionary fiscal policy since the Malaysian economy was expected to be even more strengthened by benefiting from stronger growth in the region and the recovery from major industrial countries. The total government expenditure for this year, according to Bank Negara Malaysia, was 75,224 million ringgit, which an increase of 9.5% compared to 2002, which was 68,699 million ringgit, which an increase in expenditure mainly due to minimize the spillover effects from the least favorable global and regional developments. For taxes, tax incentives, including reduction in corporate tax for small and medium enterprises (SMEs), they are up to 8% in the reduction, from 28% to 20%, for chargeable income up to 100,000 ringgit. Based on Figure 1, during 2004, the federal government decided to implement expansionary fiscal policy to enhance long-term growth for Malaysia's economy. The total government expenditure for this year was 91,298 million ringgit, which an increase of 21.37% compared to 2003, which was 75,224 million ringgit. For taxes, the federal government offered additional tax breaks, incentives, and financing facilities to expand the private sector's role in spearheading the country's growth. These measures included raising the 20% corporate tax rate that result for SMEs up to 500,000 ringgit from 100,000 ringgit. So in summary, from 2000 to 2004, the federal government consistently adopted expansionary fiscal policy, mainly due to support economic growth. Government expenditure increased progressively each year. This reflects strong fiscal dedication towards education, private sector, and infrastructure.
Challenges implementing fiscal policy. Fiscal policy refers to use of government spending and taxation to manage the economy. The government used fiscal policy to reduce inflation, reduce unemployment, and encourage economic growth. For example, during a recession, the government may increase spending or reduce tax to stimulate the economic activity. However, even though fiscal policy is important, it is not easy to implement effectively. There are many problems that can reduce its success. In this presentation, I will explain three main challenges in implementing fiscal policy. These challenges are time lag, the crowding out effect, and uncertain about the economic future. Each of these challenges can weaken the impact of fiscal policy and sometimes even create a new economic problem. Challenges implementing fiscal policy. Fiscal policy refers to use of government spending and taxation to manage the economy. The government used fiscal policy to reduce inflation, reduce unemployment, and encourage economic growth. For example, during a recession, the government may increase spending or reduce tax to stimulate the economic activity. However, even though fiscal policy is important, it is not easy to implement effectively. There are many problems that can reduce its success. In this presentation, I will explain three main challenges in implementing fiscal policy. These challenges are time lag, the crowding out effect, and uncertain about the economic future. Each of these challenges can weaken the impact of fiscal policy and sometimes even create a new economic problem. Third problem is crowding out effect and uncertain in economy. The second challenge is crowding out effect. When the government increase spending, it often borrow money from financial market. This increases the demand for money and cause interest rate to rise. Higher interest rate make borrowing more expensive for businesses and households. Such as a result, private investment and consumption may decrease. This means government spending may replace private spending instead of increasing total economic activity. The final challenges is uncertain about the economic future. The economy is difficult to predict and economic models are not always accurate. Change in consumer confidence, business expectation, or global event can quickly affect the economy. In addition, people may change their behavior when they expect future government action. For example, if people expect higher taxes in the future, they may reduce spending now because of this uncertainty. Fiscal policy may not achieve its intended result and may become less effective.
In conclusion, Malaysia's fiscal policy has role in recovery. It stabilized economy, used expansionary fiscal measure to support business and household. In short-term impact, it increased government spending on education, infrastructure, and social program. It also prevent deeper downturn during global economy. And it improve social stability. It provide employment and financial security, subsidies and price control, and reduce social unrest. Malaysia fiscal policy also has a long-term development. The investment in technology and infrastructure, the tax incentive boost private investment and the private investment increase. Second, there also has a challenge like slow policy implementation, high risk borrow crowding out, and uncertainty limit immediate policy effect. And the last, for the legend for future, fiscal policy must flexible and forward-looking, support short-term recovery and long-term growth, and help Malaysia remain resilient, inclusive, and competitive.